Well, welcome back, preppers, or perhaps gardeners, if gardeners have been drawn into this video as well. It is mid-February, February. It's an easy one for me to say. I've only been doing it for the last 45 odd years saying that word. But anyway, that's not the point. It's mid-February, and I think it's February the 16th. And, well, it's time to get out in my garden and do a bit of prepping before I do my planting. I've already put my seedlings in the trays, or my seeds in the trays, and they're starting to grow. I've got hair flapping around in my eyes there. So it's now time to get the sort of beds a bit ready. You'll see when I turn the camera in a minute that one of my beds is a bit low on soil and it looks like it's had a cat in, which means I'm going to have to get some other sort of cover for that particular bed to try to stop that in future. But this particular bed had potatoes in. If you follow my videos, you will know that they were my unexpected crop last year. But I got to get all those potatoes out so I don't get random potatoes growing up this year. And if I do, I'm just going to pull them out before they get too big and get going. Because, well, I work in the potato industry. I can get potatoes quite easily. So potatoes are not big on my crops for growing. This year, I'm going to be doing parsnips and what's the other one? Beetroots. There's cylinder beetroots and various other things. We will see as we go along. There will be follow-up videos and the like. But for now, I would probably cut bits out of this, shorten it down. You don't want to see me digging out a load of potatoes, maybe see me dig out one, but once you've seen me dig out one, you've seen me dig them all out. And again, filling up, you might just see me fill up a little bit, get it ready, end result, that sort of thing. You don't need to be sitting here for like 15 minutes watching me dig a bed. Okay, so I'll turn the camera around and pop it onto my bed. And as you can see, the soil level is quite low there. You can actually see the white wood. Obviously, I've got a bit of lining around this edge here. The bit I was using for the lining weren't big enough to do the whole thing. But it's 2-inch wood. It should take quite a bit of battering from the soil and things. It should last a while. So here we go. Let's dig out my potatoes, see what we got, and probably find a little bit of cat, in there as well. Right. These potatoes have been in here for all year since they finished maturing. Basically, I weren't overly bothered by them. As I said, I get potatoes from various different places, farms and things, because, well, I work in the trade. So enough of me talking. Let's just get these out, and we'll maybe have a look at all my potatoes at the end as well.
Well, okay, some bits I forgot to talk about while I was actually out in my garden talking. Yeah, potatoes. Another reason I'm having to pull the potatoes out and make sure that there are no other potatoes left in that planter is because potatoes have grown in that planter for the last 2 years. Now, you should only use a plot for 3 years for potatoes, because anything after that, yes, the potatoes will still grow, not a problem. But the longer you grow a certain crop in a certain area, the more specific type of nutrient and stuff it takes from the ground. So unless you're on top of that and you're putting back the right sort of fertilizer, it depletes that particular type of thing. And the more you encourage that type of potato pests in this particular case, into that area. So yes, getting rid of all those potatoes out of that planter. And talking of which, I probably finished digging them up by now. So let's go back.
Now, the compost I'm putting in is actually the leftovers from one of my neighbour's bags of compost. He he works in gardening, so he gets it from time to time. And, well, he hadn't used it, so I asked him if he had any spare, and he said yeah. And, well, this is what I'm using to just top this pot up, or this planter up. So this is part of like the community of prepping. No, he's not a prepper, not what I know of. I haven't really talked to him about it as yet. Maybe I will one day, see if he wants to get on board with it and everything. But just for now, he's a neighbour. I knew that he might have some, so I asked. Saved me a trip out to the garden centre because I didn't need a whole bag for this one particular place. And as you can see, that is quite filled up now. It's a lot better than it was. So, yeah, that is that. When I go to work next, I will get myself. Oh, my camera just tipped. Hang on. There you go. That's better. When I go to work next, I'll get myself some more of this meshing, which I use to cover this one to stop the cats from getting in there. Just there are my potatoes I harvested. Not many, quite small ones. Possibly I may keep them. If I have any spare beds at some point, I might put them in there later on in the year. uh, But yeah, there we go. We've now got a bed ready for planting. That's quite a deep bed. That's about a foot deep, maybe. Oh, what's that in metric for you Europeans? I am one of them. Maybe 300 mil deep, and that should be good for my longer root vegetables like my beetroots, parsnips, carrots, and the like. My shorter bed, I'll just I'm going to flip the camera for this and take you out. So I'm going to put you on pause. Well, not only did I put you on pause, I actually turned it off. So a little bit more editing for me. But this is my other bed. This one's only about uh, 8 to 10 inches, which is what, about 200 to 250 mil. If you want centimeters, that's 20 to 25 centimeters. There you go. I think I covered all my bases. There's my potatoes I pulled out. Um, from a random crop I weren't planning on planting. It's a little bit of a bonus on there. There's a couple of reasonably big ones in there. Um, in this plant bed at the moment, which also needs topping up at some point. So I might have to go to a garden centre, supermarket somewhere to get some more compost. I know that my neighbour's got another bag I can use if I have to. I've got an onion just there. Now that was just an onion, a whole onion, which was shooting in my pantry. So I just popped it in the ground, let it get on with it. Nothing comes of it. Nothing comes of it. It's no great loss. It was either that or the bin. And just there, I have got my sycamore. Okay, and again, that's another self-planted piece of kit, and I'm going to be taking that out and putting that in a pot later on this week or maybe next weekend because, well, simply I don't want it in that bed because this bed is for my veg and stuff for my prepping channel. So yeah, we're gonna do that. And but I don't want to kill the sycamore off either. I'll grow it on, make it a bit bigger, and then maybe at some point go and find a hedgerow somewhere and plant it in there. I know there's rules about not taking plants out of hedgerows. I'm not sure about putting them in, but anyway.
Okay, the sycamore. Yeah. The other thing I forgot to say about the sycamore is I also want to get that moved now or within the next week or so because if I leave it much longer, it's going to actually start growing again. Okay, at the moment it's in a dormant stage. Yes, it's storing in water in its roots and the like, and putting its roots out to new water sources, but it hasn't actually started pumping its reserved water up through its trunk. Okay, yes, I know it's a little sycamore sapling and it's got a tiny stick, but still it works the same. And so it hasn't started pumping its fluids up its stick yet. And so it's still in an ideal time to move. If you want to move trees, shrubs, anything like that, do it in its dormant stage.
So if you actually follow along with a lot of my plantings I've been doing, or my channel in general, you will know that I had another sort of bumper crop. Uh, late, well, what was it? Christmas 23, I suppose it was. I thought I'd put some late garlic out and see if I can get that going throughout the Christmas period. It's meant to be mild that year, so I thought, yeah, let's give it a go. Nothing happened. Okay, that went right through like the summer or spring summer of 2024, and in the autumn of 2024, they decided they were going to grow, and here they are now. So obviously they're not ready to come out quite yet. I'll pull these out sort of middle of summer, I suppose. Uh, but yeah, so this pot here, although this is again shallow with the soil, I can't really do much with it. Maybe I could put something in here to block that up and fill that little bit up. But I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to let this one go. I may put another couple of garlics in there uh, as the weather gets a little bit warmer, end of February time, and go from there. So, but here, so remember, plants aren't exactly special. Okay, they quite happily do all their own stuff. Before we came along and started cultivating plants and putting in seeds in little special trays in the house to get them going and all that, they used to do all this stuff by themselves. Theoretically, in my planter here, I can direct sow all my carrots, direct sow all my parsnips, broccolis, cauliflowers, cabbages, lettuces, beetroots, anything, and they will grow when they're ready to. Okay, yeah, some of the seeds will rot out and won't happen. Some of them will last, and because that's what they do. When you think about uh, when you dig up soil, yeah, and you find, or let's say I don't know, you find a nice patch of soil what's been dug out of some dike somewhere by a farmer to improve the drainage system, and you decide, well, I'm going to steal some of that soil. You put it in your bed, and random things start to grow in it. Well, those seeds didn't drop in to that soil once you put it where you wanted it. Those seeds were always in the soil, waiting for the right conditions for them to grow. Now, obviously, the farmer started that off by pulling it out of the dike, but then you finished it off by putting it in your garden, allowing the sun to get to it, allowing the nutrients to flow through the soil and things. So, yeah, just bear that in mind. Sometimes when you plant something and it don't come up when you think it's meant to, it might come up a year or two later.
Okay. Nearly done with the editing bits, promise. Okay, the other thing I forgot to mention while I was out in my garden was that part of the garden. Obviously, well, it's not obvious. I live in a communal block of flats and things, and there is 6 of those particular type of blocks within the plot I'm on. So there are lots of people, and we all share the garden. So I'm not allowed to do much in the way of ripping up the garden. Statewide, most of my things are done in pots and planters. But that corner where I've got my pots and planters is quite sheltered. At the beginning of February, end of January, we had some rather bad frosts. We had about 3 or 4 days on the trot where we had sub-zero temperatures. Everything was like white and sparkly in the morning when we woke up. But that corner wasn't. It sort of encroached about halfway up. The lawn I was standing on sort of, yeah, it sort of encroached about halfway up that lawn. And that's why I also think I've got the, what are they called? Garlics. Yeah, in 2/3 of that first pot, but not in the last third of that pot, because it's got cold enough to trigger them. In the 2/3 which are more exposed than that last third. So that'll be something I will keep an eye on when I put garlics in the other pots along that side of the wall and see if they do well or not, because obviously, yes, garlics do depend on cold weather to actually split their bulb into segments, into cloves. So that's another thing. It is quite sheltered there, so I will get away with planting things out a little bit earlier than normal because it doesn't actually get as cold in that corner as other exposed gardens do. So at some point in the video, I also mentioned about planting out my seeds. And here are my seed trays with some little seedlings. Now that's broccoli at the back here, which is growing up nicely. I think these ones, these random ones, which are sort of in various different places in the tray, it's just spillage of broccoli seeds. Is where it's fallen out of my hand in certain places while I was planting them out. Now, just here, it's a bit hard to see, so I'll put some light onto it, so maybe you can see it a bit better. Those 2 little red bits there, they are, well, there could be 3 red bits there. That is the beetroot, which I am currently growing. And also just here, again, it's a bit hard to see. I'll see if I can put some light on that as well and focus that in. There you go. That is the courgettes, which are just starting to push the seeds out, so which means the root is starting to push down and into the ground. Now, I didn't actually do a video on a particular part of things because simply you don't want to see my washing. There you go, and there's more washing. Yeah, for somebody, it's a bit boring, isn't it, watching someone put seeds in the ground. We all know how to do it. And I'm no gardener, so go and find a gardening channel. I personally use or watch a guy called the No Dig Norfolk Fire Garden, and he's quite good. But the main reason I watch him is because he's in my area. He's in Norfolk, and that's Norfolk, England, by the way, to you Americans. And he also puts the actual planting zone up on his videos. So I now know, because of his videos, that I'm in zone 9A. Obviously, try to find someone who does your gardening or does gardening videos if you are looking for someone to do gardening videos in your area, because that will give you the best results. They will be suffering the same sort of climate you're suffering from. So that is my tip for the day. Um, yeah, I only got two south-facing windows in my little flat, so I put these seeds out for the February. This was early February. I planted these. This was, as I said, about a week ago. I say early February. That was about the 7th, 8th, 9th. So I've only got one other window I can put any seeds on at the moment, and I'm waiting to do some March sowings for that, because that will give me some sort of like staging for my fruit. I'm not doing fruit for my veg. So yeah, I'll get early. I've also planted some carrots and some spring onions and things as well, but those seeds aren't coming up as yet, and some parsnips. But that'll give me staggering on my planting or my growing. So when the first lot are ready, in a couple of weeks after that, the second lot will be ready. This would be ideal for things like cabbages and lettuces, because like obviously you get your first few lettuces done, you can pick them, eat them over the first couple of weeks, and while you're eating them ones, the second lot can be going on. And obviously if you have a bigger plot and you've got more room, you can stage these out over several months, or a couple of months at the very least, so they see you throughout the whole summer period. Okay, I think that's all my editing done. I'll get on to editing this into everything else, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video.